Hey guys, so I have something super exciting to talk about today. I am just so passionate about this video right now, and it's mostly because I just finished Crooked Kingdom by Leigh Bardugo. I literally finished it yesterday, and I am so excited to talk about these two books because I finished this one about, I would say, a year and a half ago, maybe? I don't remember. I'd have to check on my Goodreads, but I know it was kind of a long time ago. So I figured I would just talk about the reasons why you should read this duology. Okay, so I've read this duology. I haven't read her other books. I did start her first book of her other series, but I didn't finish it because I am awful. And I was kind of reading it during a time when I was in a reading slump and I just couldn't get into a fantasy book. I was just like, it was just too much for me. So I ended up picking this book up, I think in Barnes & Noble, mostly because I was like, this is the prettiest book I've ever seen. Like, look at the pages. First of all, like, if you want to see it without its cover on, it is freaking amazing. I don't know how to take a cover off the book, but obviously, look at it. It's all black. What? It's so freaking pretty. Like, what the heck? How is this even a book? And just the pages. Anyway, if you don't know what Six of Crows is about, I don't know how that is a thing that you don't know about. That doesn't make sense to me, but if somehow you've lived under a rock and you don't know what Six of Crows is about, basically it's about these 6 people who are from this place called the Dregs, and it is kind of like thugs or hoodlums or whatever you want to call them, and they are hired for a heist, and they have to, they have to do this heist to get some money, and yeah, they're all kind of friends, or they become friends on the way, and it's kind of like, it's so weird because it's like a fantasy, but it's also kind of a buddy comedy, and it's also kind of like a road trip novel. I don't know. It's like so many different things in one, but somehow it just works really well together, and that's mostly because Leigh Bardugo. Leigh Bardugo is a freaking amazing writer. Like, that is like #1 reason why you should read this duology, is because literally Leigh Bardugo is such a good writer. Like, I have read a few high fantasy novels, I've read a few fantasy novels in general, and I have to say that as much as I like Throne of Glass, and as much as I like so many other fantasy novels, this is probably the best fantasy duology series, whatever, of all time. Like, literally, at least in YA concerns, this fantasy series is just, it's so incredible. Like, I was reading Crooked Kingdom, and I was just like, how did Leigh come up with all of this stuff? Like, how did she come up with these crazy, convoluted twists and turns in this novel and make it sound so believable? Like, I wrote this Goodreads review for this book. If you want to go check it out, it's non-spoilery, so if you want to check out the review, it's definitely linked down below. But I was just like, even with Six of Crows, like, it was just like so full of twists and turns that you would be like, oh, this is so not believable, but like at the same time you're like, this is like way too convoluted to not be believable. Like, this is so just like, how did she think up of all these plans and all these like secrets, and like, how did that happen? Like, I really can't explain it too well without I can't really explain it too well without spoiling everything for you guys, but just know that, dude, Leigh Bardugo, it's almost as if Leigh Bardugo lived all of this and then just wrote it down. Like, that's how it feels to me. It's crazy. The second reason why you should totally read this duology, I don't know if I'm gonna go in like order of anything, but one of the other reasons why you should read this duology is it is crazy representative. Like, it is so much. There's like different abilities of people. Like, the main character uses a cane and he is disabled, and then you have other characters of different races, different ethnicities, and then you have other characters of different sexualities, and it's just like, this book has like almost everything in it. Like, if you can think of a different representation of someone, it's probably in this book. Like, they have, and like, the relationship, The relationships are just so good. Like, it's so hard to find problematic stuff with these two books because there's like so little of it. Like, I'm pretty, you know, sensitive towards things that are problematic or whatever, you know, like I can usually point that out pretty quick. But with these two books, I'm just like, where is it? Where is the problematic areas of these books? And I bet someone could like point it out for me, but I could not find them on my own, so I will need someone to point them out for me because I was just like blown away by how amazing these books are at representation. It is so good. And just the way that disability is talked about in these novels, like how, like, you know, Kaz Brekker, who is like this incredible, you know, con man, and he's like super good at like fighting and like just being badass, and he's also disabled and uses a cane. Like, that is just like so cool. And like, you don't see that in a lot of novels that talk about disability. Like, you know, the one that comes to mind is like Me Before You or something like that, where it's like, my disability is the end of the world and I can't go on. So it's like, it's so refreshing to see a disability presented in a novel that way. It's just, it's so good. I love it. And just, you know, the way that, you know, diversity is presented in this novel is so good. Oh, and like, you have like characters of like different body types and different sexualities. Like, you know, you just have everything, and I love it so much. I'm trying to make this as unspoilery as possible. It's very hard. I love these books so much, and I mean, really, they're beautiful. Like, how do you not read these books? When I first read Six of Crows, I wasn't like a super fantasy fan. Like, I wasn't super into it. I was kind of like just starting to get into like super fantasy. Before that, I was reading mostly dystopian novels. If I was going to read anything even slightly fantastical, it was going to be dystopian. But then I picked up Six of Crows and I breezed right through it. It was so good. I mean, it's definitely a little bit of getting used to. I wouldn't say it's the most complex fantasy that I've ever read. It's definitely very much related to Eastern European stuff, like a lot of Russian stuff. So, I mean, if you know anything about Russian history or Russian culture or even anything like Eastern European culture, you're probably going to have an easier time reading Six of Crows because it's very heavily Eastern European inspired, at least to me. And, you know, I think in terms of high fantasy, I feel like, you know, if you're gonna choose any high fantasy that isn't going to be super problematic, like, a lot of high fantasy novels are very problematic. I will be the first to say that. Like, the first one that comes to mind is Throne of Glass. Like, Throne of Glass is super problematic in like almost every area. But if you want something that is going to be high fantasy and similar to Throne of Glass, read Six of Crows, read Crooked Kingdom. They are both such good freaking novels. Like, they are both seriously so amazing. And if you don't read them, then I don't know what you're doing with your life. You're definitely missing out. And yeah, I mean, I kind of want to make a I can't say spoilery. I kind of want to make a spoilery sort of video about these two books, especially Crooked Kingdom, because I have so many emotions about Crooked Kingdom. Like, if you've read Crooked Kingdom, then you know exactly what I'm talking about. I'm looking straight at you. You know. And Lee, if you're watching this by some stroke of good luck and good fortune to me, you know what you did. And I am just read this book. If you haven't read it, you need to. The ending is perfect, but it also ripped my heart out. So, okay, so if you haven't read these books, basically just read them. Like, seriously, like, these are the best books in the world. Like, I can't think of any books that I love more than Six of Crows and Crooked Kingdom. Like, and sometimes, like, you know, like, the second book kind of goes through that, like, second book syndrome. Like, that's kind of, like, boring. But this one, no. This one was so good. Like, I cannot recommend it enough. So if you haven't read these, obviously read them. And if you have read them, let's talk about them. You know, try to, you know, maintain a low amount of spoilers in the comments and, you know, tag your spoilers. But yeah, I would love to talk to anyone about Six of Crows because I love it so much, and I love talking about Crooked Kingdom, and just this duology is so good. I am such a big fan, and I can't wait to read more of Leigh Bardugo's works because I need to. Anyway, if you like this video, go ahead and give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel. I make new videos every Sunday, and I will talk to you guys next week.